This is probably going to be the most random video ever. Firstly, you're not going to see me. Secondly, this won't be edited. Thirdly, you're looking at my bedroom ceiling, but only a little bit of it, because I don't want to show too much of my house because of things that have happened and the reason why I moved. Fourthly, I'm probably going to ramble and not make any sense. Fifth, if you get through this video and watch it all, well done. I mean, I'm saying that in advance of even knowing what I'm going to say, because I don't have a clue. So, I've spent the majority of the day in my room. I have been downstairs a couple of times, but I'd say the majority of my day so far, I've been in my bedroom, and it's just after 7:20 in the evening. I have struggled with how I've been feeling physically and mentally. Like, physically I don't feel great. Don't know what's wrong with me. I've not felt great for a little while, but the last weekish I've not felt at my best, and mentally I am down and I'm having panic attacks and stuff, and I don't want to leave the house. I want to stay in the house. I'm not feeling great. Like, when I spend time in my room, like, willingly, it's because I'm struggling with something. Like, it's kind of where I go to, like, get away from life. Now, I do have to go out with my dog a minimum of one time, and we have to do it over an hour. 2 times would be better, but the day that I decide, like, I can't, like, earlier I was exhausted. I thought I was going to go to sleep for several hours. Somehow I stayed awake, probably because my brain won't stop. And I thought I'll go, like, originally I was going to go at 8 o'clock till maybe 9, and then go out at like 10 till past or something like that. But it's currently raining apparently. I mean, I've got the blinds shut, so I don't know. And it said it's going to briefly stop and then start again. Like, the one day that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out that time, it's going to rain. So I don't know what timings I am going to go out. I don't particularly want to go out. I don't feel physically great. But obviously she needs walking. She's behaved really well today, considering I've not been around her much. She has had quite a bit of attention off me, but I have been up here for a couple of hours now. I even went down and got a drink and some cereal and come back up again. I have put a bit of makeup on because I did my skincare at some point this afternoon, because I did plan on trying to go out. I do need a shower though to wash my body. Don't know what I'm going to put on. Like, I could literally, if I could fall asleep, I would do. I just want to forget about today. Well, I want to forget about a lot of things, but I wish I could go to sleep and, like, sleep till like 6 in the morning or something. That'd be great. So I was like sat here and, like, there's lots of, do you know what? I'm sick of seeing the news. Like, everyone's dying, everyone's doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. Like, I'm sick of seeing, like, oh, someone else has died. And yeah, it might not impact me, like, whatever. Depends on who's died, obviously. But it's still sad. And I'm sick of seeing people dying and things happening and stuff. Like, I'm sick of it. So, I was just like, I think I saw something else that was like, oh God, really more? And I was just like, oh God. And then I had the most random thought. And I've had this thought recently a few times. And I think it's because things keep, do you know when you get suggested things on, like, social media, like you might be on, I don't know, IG or YouTube or wherever, and it'll suggest things. Sometimes it's stuff that you, like, have an interest in, or what you've been looking at recently. And then other times it's, like, random or whatever. And I don't even know what came up. It was something to do with Bon Jovi the band, but mainly John Bon Jovi. And I have my own thoughts on John Bon Jovi and the Richie Sambora situation. And I think there's more to it than anyone said. But anyway, like, I think something came up about him on maybe YouTube. And I watched a little bit of it, and then, do you know, like the suggested videos, and it was suggested videos about him. And by watching a little bit, like, it was literally like less than a minute, and I was like, I can't even be bothered with this. And I think what it was, do you know, sometimes people put clips together from lots of different interviews and they try and create a story. I think it was something like that. But then the suggested videos, there was a lot of like Bon Jovi ones, and then there was suggested Richie Sambora ones where he'd done interviews in the last year or whatever, and I've seen some of them. And then I was just like sat there randomly after like seeing news stuff and like being like, oh God, like it's just all doom and gloom, which I don't want to see or hear when I'm not feeling mentally or physically great. And then I was just there like, and I've had this thought a few times, like, and I'm never going to get the answer. I was just like, I wonder what Richie Sambora's up to these days, like what's he doing today, like who knows? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just intrigued me to think, what is he doing? Like, is he up yet? Like, I didn't actually think that, I just thought that then. Like, it's going up for 7:30 here in the evening, so I'm guessing it's like after 12, wherever he is. I mean, I don't know where he is, I'm not his stalker or anything. He might have stalkers, who knows? But, like, what does he do? Like, what does he do when he gets up in the morning? Does he, like, I don't know, like, but I am curious, and it makes me wonder, like, what do people do when they get up in the morning? Like, does everyone do the same thing? Does people do different things? Like, obviously not everyone does the same thing. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I think, oh God, am I alive? Or, God, what time is it? Am I going to get back to sleep if it's like 3 in the morning or something? Like, and I try not to look at the time, I try to get back to sleep, but sometimes I can't. But, like, what does Richie Sambora do when he gets up in the morning? I bet there is, like, a mega fan that knows, like, everything that he does, which is a little bit weird, but I am curious, like, what time does he get up? Does he wake up naturally? Does he set alarms? Does someone wake him up? Don't know why I'm thinking all this, like, I'm just there, like, now wondering it as I'm talking about him. But it is, like, intriguing in a way, but random. But, like, what time does Richie Sambora get up in the morning? Does he get up in the morning? Does he get up in the afternoon? What does he like to drink in the morning? Oh, honestly, oh God, I've not laughed in days. I just laughed at myself for just being random. But in general, what is Richie Sambora doing? Does he sit around writing songs? Does he play guitar? Does he sing in the shower? Because he does have an amazing voice. Like, I'd happily listen to him sing in the shower. I mean, whilst he's in the shower, I'm not in the shower with him. That'd be a bit weird. But, you know, he's got a voice that I would love to listen to. But, yeah, like, what does his day consist of? I know this is random, like, I'm just intrigued. I'm not going to, like, Google it. I probably wouldn't find the answers, but I don't know, like, and, like, I don't want to sit and film forever. I do have my own take on the whole Bon Jovi thing. Like, I am a Bon Jovi fan, but I'm not a Bon Jovi fan without Richie in the band because they don't sound the same live, and John's probably going to say they sound better, but that's just delusion. And I've always been a fan, like, I'm not, like, anti Bon Jovi, like, but when Richie Sambora left, the sound has never been the same. John's wrecked his voice. John thinks his voice sounds great, like, he's had that surgery and he's claiming he sounds good now. No, you don't. I've seen the clips, you don't. I'm not being mean, you don't. You're probably never going to see this, but you don't. And, like, from what I've got and taken from things that Richie has said, it sounds to me like Mr. Potato Head, aka John Shanks, pushed him out the band by basically I can't say that. I can't even say that either. He may have a brown nose, from what he may have been doing, but to word it a different way, I think he's infiltrated the band, like got in with John, been writing songs with John. John thinks he's, I nearly said Madonna. I mean, if he thinks he's Madonna, that's up to him if he wants to think that. But, you know, thinks he's this big superstar. Yeah, he's good. He's an ultimate showman. He's good at what he does. There's a lot of arrogance there at times, I feel. I remember last year when the band was promoting the 30th anniversary album, which Richie should have been part of, but John was with the other John, writing stuff when it should have been Richie and John, writing the way they used to write and coming up with something amazing rather than the middle of the road crap that the band are now releasing. So John was doing this interview on This Morning, and I think I missed it, but obviously it was put online, and I watched it, and he was so defensive whenever anything was asked about Richie, and it was almost like he thought that the presenters were trying to trick him or catch him out or something, and his answers were like came across as being very defensive, when I think and believe, based on who was interviewing him, that it was just general interest. There wasn't any catch to it. They weren't trying to catch him out. They weren't trying to trip him up, get him to say something. I think because Bon Jovi have always been big in Europe, I think it was just general curiosity about things, but he was quite standoffish in his answers, and it was like he was trying to defend something that he didn't need to defend, because obviously Richie was a big part of that band, and I believe personally without Richie in the band they wouldn't have had the success that they had, because he wrote the songs with John and he had an influence over how these songs sounded. And I think if he hadn't been part of that band, these songs never would have been, and the sound wouldn't have been what it was, and someone else would have been in the band, and Bon Jovi would never have been as big as what they were. And I believe that to be true. And if you really think about it, and if you look at what they did with Richie in the band and what they've done since, you will see, you know, I know there's people who are going to be mega fans who are going to like, no, John's right not to have Richie in the band, they're great. They're not great now. They're a good band. They don't sound great live compared to how they sounded with Richie in the band, and you can see where Richie's missing. Phil X doesn't bring that to the band at all. He can play guitar, but he's nothing on Richie. And, like, you know, it's just the sound, the atmosphere, the whole thing is not the same. So, also during, when they were over here, because he was with Tico and David, and they were doing lots of like radio interviews, and obviously they went online, and every time I watched one it would recommend another one. And whenever like David and Tico were asked questions, like not as a band, as individuals, not only did sometimes they look shocked that they were being included that much, but also there were times when, especially when David was answering questions, he was continuously looking at John like, am I saying the right thing? Is this okay? Like, it was like he was seeking approval on whatever he was saying. Like, you know, he didn't want to upset the boat, like upset the person who pays his wages. And what happened to it being a democracy? Yeah, John got the contract originally, but without these men, the sound that is created, I don't think would have been what it is. They bring their own things to the band that John alone can't bring to the band. John's only one person. John's not created this whole sound. Him and John Shanks are ruining the band with the lackluster songs that aren't great, but they think they're great, but they're not. John Shanks shouldn't be in the band. John Shanks, Mr. Potato Head, ultimately, from what I've gathered, has pushed Richie out the band, made him feel like he had to leave and get away from that situation. And yeah, Richie said other things about wanting to be there for his daughter and stuff, and I do believe that, but ultimately there is a lot more to it the fact that he wasn't appreciated and he wasn't, you know, getting the respect or the credit for his part of the band, his part of the sound, what he created with John. Because he did create magic with John. Like, them two together have a charisma on stage that isn't a fake charisma. Like it works. But obviously, you know, and I know Richie's had his issues, and Richie, you know, everyone has their issues, you know, everyone has things going on in their lives, and some people can deal with it, some people can't, and people turn to things because that's what they do. Like, it happens. But at the end of the day, I think he was potentially pushed out that band by Mr. Potato Head. I know there's other things like surrounding that, and, you know, John would have been part of it, but Mr. Potato Head has literally infiltrated that band because he wanted to be in Bon Jovi, and he's now creating the Bon Jovi sound that sounds like everything else he's done in the last 20 years. He's not doing the band any favours. John's not doing the band any favours. And the band isn't the same. They're not. You can listen to them with Richie in the band, you can listen to them now, and you'll see, performance-wise, live, they were much better with Richie. Much, much better. Much better live band, much better everything. Now, it is sad, because when they were at the top, they were amazing. When Richie was in the band, they sounded amazing live, they put on a great show. I've been to see them a good amount of times. Like, I'm not going to say a lot, because some people have seen them hundreds of times. You know, if I was in that position, yeah, I would see them hundreds of times. I wouldn't see them now. I saw them once when Richie originally left. I hadn't even bought my tickets. I bought them the week of the concert when they were heavily reduced, and it was not the same. It was not the same. And I was there holding out hope that Richie would turn up. He didn't, and I had to put up with Phil X butchering the songs. And I left before they did Wanted, and I was walking out the stadium, and it just, they did start Wanted, and it was horrific. And I've not seen them since, and I wouldn't without Richie there. And it's funny, because my dad said to me, I wouldn't see Bon Jovi without Richie in, but I'd see Richie without Bon Jovi. And it's true, I would, and I have seen him live, and he's great. But, you know, all that thing about, like, when he left, John made a comment like, it's not like Bono's leaving O2, U2. Here it is, it's literally the same thing. Yeah, U2 would be crap without The Edge, not Bono. He meant, he said, like, if it's not like The Edge has left U2. No, it's Richie's left Bon Jovi. Like, you're not as good without him. The live sound ain't the same. You've got two guitarists there that don't even make it sound nowhere near as good as Richie did by himself. So, yeah, it is the same as The Edge leaving U2, because you're not going to get the same sound at all, and you're not as good without him. And you can sit there with your massive ego thinking you're wonderful and the band's great. Musically live, it's not great. I've heard it. I've seen clips throughout the years when I've not gone to see you, and I won't go to see you because Richie's not in the band and you've messed your voice up, and then you have your vocal cord cut out. Like, you're completely crazy. And you don't sound good now. Yeah, your voice has improved a little bit, and you can sing your new songs okay, but you can't sing your old songs okay. So, and I'm not being mean, I'm speaking the truth. You're probably used to people telling you yes, yes, yes. You're not going to get that from me. Not that you watch my video or anything, but I'm just saying, like, you know, maybe there's too many yes people around people that helps create the egos that we see and hear about. And do you know what? I don't think John Bon Jovi is anything like his stage persona. I think that's an act. I think in real life, he's not this, like, sex symbol that he portrays on stage, this overconfident sex symbol who knows how to work up a crowd. I think in his real life, he's not that. Like, he's a lot more, I don't know, maybe dignified, like, maybe a little bit more boring, run-of-the-mill, day-to-day, average kind of bloke. But on stage, where he's performing with the band or he's doing interviews, you're going to see this character that he's created, or parts of that character depending on the situation. But I think away from there, he's probably this rich man with a big ego, but just an average bloke. Yeah, he's talented, yeah, he can do stuff, but I just think away from the stage and interviews and etc., I think he's just a normal bloke with a lot of money and a big ego. Yeah. And like, this is me as a fan of Bon Jovi that can sit back and look at things now and see things that have been said and like make my own opinion. But I do think when they're all together and things are well, they're an amazing band. I've seen them live. They're like, for years, my first ever concert, which was a Bon Jovi concert, was my #1 concert for 15 years, I think. And it only got surpassed by Billy Joel, believe it or not. But yeah, my first ever time seeing Bon Jovi, even though I'd seen them since and I'd seen a lot of other things, was my favourite concert for many, many years. And they're still in my top 5, that particular concert. But I've loved every single concert except for one. Well, 2 if you count the one that Richie were in, but I'm not even going to count that at all in any of my favourites, because it wasn't. But yeah, I wonder what Richie's up to, like. And it's funny because when I was driving somewhere, oh God, I went somewhere yesterday. I'm not going to say where, but it was like an hour's drive. Well, I actually did it in less than an hour. I think it was 50 minutes there, 50 minutes back. And One Light Burning came on by Richie. He has got the most soulful voice. It's a shame that he was never a big solo star, or a big, like he had his own band, like, you know, because he could have been. He co-wrote those songs that you all know from Bon Jovi. He could have wrote those songs, or similar or better, as his own. He does have a powerful, amazing, like, I could listen to him sing all day. Like, he's just got one of those voices, and there's just not enough of his music out there. Look for When a Blind Man Cries on YouTube, and just like put it like earphones in and just listen to his voice, and like try and go down a rabbit hole and try and find like music where like his voice is just, it's amazing. So yeah, I did think like, I wonder what Richie's up to these days. Like, what does he do every day? Like, does he sit round and listen to Bon Jovi? He doesn't. Like, I can't imagine he does. But yeah, it's just like, just made me wonder, when there's so much crap going on in the world and stuff, my mind does go places, and I just thought, I wonder what Mr. Sambora's up to. I'll never know, but I did wonder. I'm intrigued. What does he like to do with his days? Where does he like to go on holiday? Probably somewhere I'd never go, or never be able to go. I don't know. Does he like cold weather? Probably not. Who knows? I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't know him. He's just someone I know of who's got an amazing voice. I bet there's someone who knows all the answers to my questions, like a super mega fan who just like is obsessed with him and maybe other people. I don't know. But I'm just curious. Curious. It is a true story. Richie Sambora is young enough to be my dad's son. Now everyone's going to Google how old Richie Sambora is now. And no, my mum is nowhere near the same age as my dad, if you're trying to guess how old I am. Or if you know how old my mum is. Or if you've seen my mum. If you see my mum, let me know where she is. No, I do know where my mum is. But yeah, my dad could have a son Richie Sambora's age. Yet Richie Sambora is considerably older than me. So there you go. And he's got the most beautiful eyes. But he probably knows that. He's got those like eyes that I feel like are very like soulful and you can get lost in. Just from pictures, obviously. I have actually seen him in person, but I've not been that close. Because I'm not one of those people who would go up and try and meet someone like that. Because they always say don't meet, like, people say don't meet your idols and stuff, because there's been like celebrities who have met their idols or people like they've looked up to or they like the work or whatever it is, and they've met them and they've always wished that they hadn't because they've ended up not being a nice person. I feel like Richie would be a nice person, but I still wouldn't want to meet him because I'd rather live under the illusion of who I think he is or might be. Not that I sit around thinking what he's like, but I do, from what I've heard that he is a really nice person, which I'm glad about, because, you know, it's nice to be nice. But on that note, I am going to end the most random video ever because I need to check the weather and maybe actually put some clothes on today. I mean, I do have pyjamas on, but well, a t-shirt and pyjama bottoms, but I'm definitely not going on a jog walk like this. But do you ever have like random thoughts like, oh, I wonder what this person's doing? I wonder if you think of a celebrity like, oh, I wonder what Elton John's doing. I won't say what my other thought was then about Elton. I love Elton. I think he's just so open and honest, and I love that. And I love how he talks about things that a lot of celebrities wouldn't talk about. I think that's great. But I'm definitely going. If you've watched to the end, well done. If you want more random videos, you know what to do. And have a great day, everyone.